Welcome back to the Sports World with Patrick. I'm your host, Patrick. And today we have two incredibly talented hockey players joining us from Lindenwood University's hockey team, men's hockey team. Um, Artyom Borshyov from Belarus and Kristof Papp from Hungary. These two are representing not only Lindenwood, but also their home countries, bringing a global perspective to college hockey. It's always exciting to have players from different parts of the world on the show, and I can't wait to dive into their unique stories. Artyom and Kristof, thanks for being here today. How's everything going with you two right now?
Thanks for having us. Going good.
Yep.
How about yourself?
I'm actually doing really good. It's awesome to have you both on the show. From Belarus to Hungary, and now to the United States with Lindenwood. There's so much to unpack here, so let's go ahead and jump in. To start off, let's talk sort of about your guys' hockey journeys, Artyom and Kristof. I know in Europe, the hockey scene is a lot different. Soccer, or really football, in honesty, is more the popular sport there. So, how did you guys each sort of get started in hockey, and what drew you to the sport?
Or do you want?
Yeah,
I got
I
it.
got it. You got it.
I started when I was 6, so I know that's almost pretty late compared to like the Canadian fellas. But I started at 6, and we had a family friend who was taking me around trying different sports because nobody in my family played hockey before. So one time I got all dressed and obviously went down and passed the puck around. Well, tried to, you know. But next to my first club, just alongside the boards, and yeah, I loved it ever since, and never looked back.
Yeah, for me, funny that you said that the football is bigger sport out on our side, but actually in Belarus, hockey is the number one sport right now. And back in the day when I started, I was 7 years old, even later than Kristof over there. They just have built the rink in my city in 2006, I believe. 2007 maybe too, somewhere there. And my parents brought me there. It was just like kind of like a hobby to try out, and out of school, out of kindergarten, to spend some time with meet new friends. My parents, my mom played basketball and my dad played volleyball, so we're kind of a sports family. But no one in my family played hockey. I was the first one, and kind of got going from there.
And then obviously, every hockey player is going to face challenges very early on in their career. But what was that one challenge that made you guys both want to pursue the sport of hockey at a higher level?
For me, obviously, just moving to the U.S. at an early age. I moved when I was 9 with my family at first, so just not being able to speak was obviously difficult. As for me and my younger brother, who's 3 years younger. But yeah, I think that just built a lot of character, and then I found my family within hockey. My boys obviously at an early age, even when I couldn't speak the language. So that always the locker room and the guys there always just um, were there for me. So that really attracted me towards the sport.
I think for me, it was my family because I moved out of my house at a very, very early age before going to United States. I went to play in our capital in Minsk for a different hockey club, and I was 14. I was turning 15 when I made that move. I was by myself. My parents had to stay at home and to make sure to keep their job and help me to become a better person, a better hockey player. So I was there on my own. I had to figure it out. And once again, with all the people that helped me out at that during that time, like I couldn't be where I'm at without them.
And then obviously, you guys have both made the move to the United States. Kristof, you made it very early on in your career, and then Artie, you sort of made it around the time that you would be coming to the U.S. at an early age. But obviously, you guys have played. I know, Kristof, you played at Northern Michigan, and Archie, you played at Lake State, and then you guys have sort of moved in from the transfer portal to Lindenwood. So, what was the biggest adjustment for you guys moving from playing hockey both in Hungary and Belarus, and to playing college hockey here in the United States? Because I know I've talked to a few coaches here and there. I was actually talking to one yesterday who said, there's a big difference in the way the systems are ran and how, you prep for hockey, because sometimes you're in the weight room all the time or you're on the ice all the time. It just depends.
Yeah, so I can't speak too much on the international side. Like since moving so young, I was still playing a cross sheet for a lot of the time, and then I played a little bit the full sheet, but we were too young. So just speaking on my experience from juniors to college. The biggest jump is obviously guys are getting bigger and faster, and as am I. But everyone's doing their job. It's definitely harder to score because everyone's more responsible. The structures are more intact, and coaches keep a tighter rein on the defensive side as well. So it's obviously the same group, more so before the transfer portal really opened up. I think when coaches have the opportunity to get teams together more and keep their players around, that they know what to expect and they know how to work within their systems better too.
Yeah, from my perspective, I played junior hockey in Belarus. Obviously, it's not the best junior hockey. Like most of the players from Belarus want to go play in North America, play in the CHL or play in the MHL, the junior league in Russia. When I was moving to the United States, I knew nothing about NCAA. It's obviously a very unique league where you get both education and the hockey part. At first, when I came to the United States, I wanted to play in the CHL, but then slowly playing first year of AAA hockey, school started talking to me, and then my parents were always big on education, and I decided to make that move. Hockey-wise, I think the game here is faster and more physical. I think back home, especially, it's more of a open ice hockey game, more of smarter plays, more of plays with a puck, I would say. Instead of getting rid of it, we would rather go back, regroup, and keep the possession of the puck, which probably not going to work at the style of hockey here because it's so much faster and so much more physical. And the pool of players, I mean, everybody could play a slower game, but those guys who can play it make that decision 2-3 seconds faster than the other guy. That's what makes it fun, and that's where those bigger players stood up and shows up.
And then obviously, this is more so for you. You already obviously you were over in Europe for longer than Kristof for the moment. And Kristof, if you want to, you can add on to this one. But obviously the cultures are very different, and the game culture is also different than what you're used to
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
Europe. And so, how did you guys sort of adapt to the different cultures about the United States and the difference in hockey and how team culture is in the States compared to other countries?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the language barrier, obviously, it was tough, but like, I mean, even though I understood everything what the guys were saying and the coaches were saying, like sometimes even to keep the dialogue going and keep the conversation going was hard because of the slang words. You're like, I mean, sarcasm is huge in North America, and unfortunately, we're not very big on sarcasm when I'm from. But overall, I think your teammates either make it for you or break it. I would put it that way. And fortunately enough, my teammates made it for me. Playing North American hockey is always something I've dreamed about when I was a young kid, and I'm very fortunate enough to that I got to do it.
Yeah, I love how you brought up the sarcasm because I've noticed that too, from back home and here. People are so much more open. It also depends on the state you're at, but yeah, people in general are just smiling a bit more, I guess, in the North American region. So compared to back home, so that's a big difference. And obviously, I've never been on a team where I haven't found, that group of brothers, like I said earlier. So, and another thing is hockey's pretty universal. Like it's a universal language, so no matter where you are or what language you speak, you even see it at the pro highest level. Like some guys can't even speak English and they seem like they're having a great time because hockey just unites us in such a cool way.
And then obviously you guys do have the international background. Obviously, Kristof, I can see that jersey back there, the international or the Hungarian national team jersey. And Artie, I believe you play on the international team, correct, in Belarus?
Yeah, I did. I played two World Championships under 18 for Team Belarus.
How much of that being an international player influenced you to play the game, and were there specific techniques that you guys were, or even styles that when you go over during the summer, more so the end of the season to play in the Worlds, or you go back and play some summer hockey back in Hungary or Belarus? Is there some techniques or styles you guys sort of bring back to the teams that you guys play for?
Well, I think it's funny that you asked because when I used to go home every summer and the coach would always be like, so like what's going on there? Like how you guys are playing, how you guys playing this and that, and then you tell them everything. They're like, oh, we're playing the same, and I'm like, yeah, it's just the matter of the execution. So everybody's like thinking that they can sort of reinvent the wheel, but it's the hockey game is pretty easy. You just got to outscore your opponent, right? So going back to my time when I played the World Juniors, it was really cool because you would get to face the United States one day. They play certain style of game, and then you're gonna go play Sweden, where they play and they let you play. And it's five guys. You never know who's a D, who's a forward out there. And then you go play Finland, and it's just a grindy hockey game, kind of like CCHA, sitting there in 1-3-1 or 1-2-2 the whole game, kind of waiting for someone to make a mistake. So those experiences are very cool, and it was a great time.
Yeah, I always have a great time going back to the national team. Obviously, I know everybody now. I've been there for 4 or 5 years now. So, I'm really grown really close to that team as well. And I tried to bring my identity back. I feel like they recruited me for a reason, and they see how the way I play out in North America, and just bringing that work, that hustle, and that physicality, that small, quick little playmaking ability back to Europe, where they're more used to, how Artie said, just taking it back, taking it more slow. I think adds a different style and different view to the team that I can refresh a couple guys and lead a couple of the younger guys.
And then Kristof, to get to this very next question, obviously, and Artie, you two talked about this, and I know Kristof, you dealt with this very early on at the age of 9. Are there any moments that you can share from locker room or team practices where you sort of had to navigate that language or even cultural barriers that are in the United States, from when you were a very young kid to whenever now where you're at Lindenwood, and for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. The first thing I remember was the first tryout I went to, actually, for the LA Junior Kings. It was just my first team in the US. I remember the coaches coming up to me at the bench, talking to me, and me not understanding anything that they were saying. So that kind of stuck around. And then, yeah, just couple memories here and there about learning specific words, like fighting. I don't know why that stood out for me, but other than that, I had just learned pretty naturally as a kid. Obviously, the accent went away too, along with that, for the most part. Um, yeah, and then just the slang comes naturally too.
Yeah, for me, there was one of the funniest stories I will remember for the rest of my life. It was one of the first games before even the season started. It was just like a showcase in Marlboro Sports Center. I think it's called Sports Village now. And one of my AAA coaches were in the OT. And I had the puck, and he was screaming, "Take ice, ice, ice." And all I've heard is ice. So I thought he wanted me to ice the puck, and I just iced the puck. And, it wasn't a great look. And now he's just like, I don't know what you want me to do there. And I had all the time in the world to make a play too. But we ended up winning in the shootout. So it was all good. But another one, I think, yeah, a very big one, especially for the guys coming here, especially from my part of the world. They People here are very big on the eye contact when you speak and when you listen. They encourage you to make eye contact. Back home, it's actually quite the opposite. If you make too much eye contact, it could be represented as disrespectful to the person that is talking. So that's one of the things that I have to learn pretty quick here. And I don't know if I can tell the story. Is it PT here? Like,
I it,
one of my coaches was too tired of me swearing in my language and was just like, he looked at me and was like, you got to say this word 10 times in front of me and in English. And I kept saying it. And then he was like, since now on, that's when you do something wrong, you say that.
and so I do have this question. Obviously, Artie, you're a defenseman, and then Kristof, you're the sort of forward. Um, you know, on the defensive side, I've had coaches from my time in playing uh, who have been more, because I was a defenseman. I always wanted to be a forward or a goaltender. Just ended up being too short for that. But are you guys more focused on being those sort of defensive players, or do you guys sort of have all that physicality in your game during the season? And how do you work with your teammates that have such a different background than from the background you guys come from? And how important is that to build team chemistry on a team?
Well, I think I'll speak for myself here. Kristof will probably have a different answer, but what I've learned in my hockey career that when I play well, I let the game come to me. I don't try to force plays or anything like that. So there's obvious games where, you know, you're fighting with the puck touches. You don't have time to make a play against the better opponents is going to happen. So you kind of have to take a step back and really reflect how can you impact the game in a positive way for your team and your teammates. And I think modern defensemen, right? Two-way defensemen, they can, if they need to score a goal, they can jump in the rushes and, create turnovers in offensive zone, neutral zone, kill plays quick. If it's a two-way defenseman for a reason, if the team is up a goal, they need to find a way to block that shot, to get that stick in the lane and to get that puck out. So I think it's always time and place for it. And most importantly, it's just got to depend on what the team needs.
Yeah, I like to just, as I said, kind of stick to my identity because that's what I've been perfecting, and that's what works, and that's what I can bring best to the table to help the team. Also, chemistry is huge between lines and players as that builds throughout the season. But our coach, obviously Bill McCall, does a great job of figuring that part out of where players fit within the team he wants to build. So I think it's also up to the coach of building that vision he has for the team and where those pieces fall into its place. So obviously, as a forward, it's different, but I pride myself on being a two-way guy too. So I can be reliable in the D zone and explode with speed and physicality and just a little quick plays or pull up, find guys open, just trying to make the guys on the line better players around me.
And so I'm also going to ask you guys this question because I know you guys just transferred in from the transfer portal to Lindenwood this season. Are there any memorable moments at the moment with Lindenwood? I know you guys just beat Notre Dame on their home ice, and that's got to be a pretty big moment. And then in your guys' careers, do you guys have any like big personal wins, personal accomplishments, or even unforgettable team moments that you guys want to share?
Yeah, I mean, coming into Lake State my freshman year, we won the WCHA title, and we went to the NCAA tournament after that. So that was pretty cool. My first year of World Juniors under 18, it was the first time in 16 years that we stayed in the elite division. We were facing Latvia, and we beat them in 3-game series. So that was cool. And then the next year, I got to be the captain on the team, and we went and do a playoff round, like first time in history. Ended up losing to Finland, but those are kind of the best experience that I had.
Yeah, for me it was Team Hungary year. Last year we ended up winning our conference or our division. I mean, and we finally beat Slovenia for the first time ever in a real game, not just an exhibition. So getting gold in that and being blessed enough to score the game winner to put us up there was a feeling I'll never forget. And just excited this year, obviously, to reap the fruits of that and go back to the A division and play world class teams like Sweden, Finland, and US.
Yeah. Well, so Kristof, I did talk to the sports director over at Hungary with Team Hungary, and he was really happy about the results that happened in the last year or so there. But I also do have this question for you guys, because I do know mental toughness is a big part of our game in hockey, obviously, and I know for you, Kristof, you did have one of your other teammates, Halash Benny, there in Northern Michigan when you were there. Obviously, he is now at UMass Lowell. And for you, RT, I also have this question. You guys, how much? Because I know when you have players that you can talk to who, you talk to in the same language, or even like, you guys have the same teams internationally, it's much easier to talk. But then, when you're losing a game and you might not have that one person, how much does the mental toughness in one game or even throughout a season, how much of that can having a player from, the same background as you help you throughout a season?
I mean, just trying to think. I think at Lake State we had a couple of guys that always kind of understood my language, and sometimes they would just speak back in English. We have a Latvian goalie, and we had another American kid, but his parents was from Russia. Honestly, I think it, as for me, it did not impact me that much because with the teams that I've been a part of, everyone was so close, and it was a pleasure to be around those guys every day. And those guys made me better every day, and I hope I return the favor. And I think that's what makes good teams. Like good teams find a way to win games. Good teams, no matter what happens in the game, they stay composed, they stay together. And I think throughout my life, I was a part of those teams, and I'm very blessed and happy about it.
Yeah, it didn't really affect me too much, honestly. Just being able to fluently speak in both languages, I'm pretty comfortable in honestly thinking and speaking, expressing myself in both languages. It is really cool though to have had Benny at Northern, because I did know him quite a while even before we met there at Northern, so he was like a friend of mine. So it was real prestige to play together in that way, and obviously make jokes in Hungarian is in the U.S. is surreal. So it's definitely more of just that personal side. But during the game, I have no difficulties or advantages to speaking Hungarian or English.
The best thing that I've ever heard is that if you're gonna get upset with a referee, you always use a language they don't understand. So
You got
I
to be careful. There's a lot of referees that understand a lot of languages nowadays,
Yeah,
especially.
at
Yeah, we
Notre
played
Dame.
at Notre Dame. One of the refs was fluent in Russian, so it was kind of cool to catch up with him a little bit. I think he actually recently just moved into St. Louis as well, so he refed a couple of games for us. I think he refed us in Miami too. So you got to be
Yeah,
careful.
but I do also have this question because you guys are college athletes. You guys do have academics in line with your guys' sport. How do you sort of manage the pressure of being student athletes, especially with the added challenge of being international students?
It can definitely take up more of your time, but I think you definitely learn that as the more you go to college, you learn to manage your time, and that's just part of it. It's part of the game. It's part of college hockey. You have to learn that. Luckily, I had older classmen who were responsible and just showed me the way of how academics is also important while you're here.
Yeah, I would agree. I think my first year, a couple of European guys kind of took me under their wing and showed me the ropes. It was the first semester was a little bit of adjustment to the school routine, and you don't have that much time after playing so much junior hockey. You kind of have a whole day to yourself, so now you have to adjust your time and make sure you do the right thing to be prepared to play on a Friday and Saturday because the NCAA season is very short. You don't have 70 games. It's only 30, 35 plus if you keep going and get to NCAA tournaments. So you can't miss any games. Season flies by really fast.
And then obviously, Artie and Kristof, I do have this question for you guys. Sort of what are you guys studying there at Lindenwood? And then how do you feel about balancing both your studies and your hockey career at Lindenwood?
So I'm studying MBA with the emphasis in finance. And the here almost every course is a hybrid course for MBA program. So it's really nice for me. I can do my work online remotely whenever I get a chance to, either on the bus or if I need to watch the lecture online, the recording of the lecture. It's really nice because once again that time management is key. I can get some extra time to get my stretching in at the rink or use the shooting room or spend a little bit more time on the ice. So that gives me a huge flexibility.
Yeah, I'm a grad student as well and getting an MBA with the emphasis in management. Yeah, Lindenwood's been great about sorting all that out and allowing us to take the classes we need. Yeah, like I'm in the same boat as Artie. Time management's been way easier here with the hybrid courses, so it hasn't been an issue at all.
Well, Kristof and Artie, I do know this. You guys probably do enjoy not having nearly as much snow throughout the winter as the UP does in Michigan get. Um, that's one thing I love about, because I do travel to Michigan from time to time, and I love doing it during the winter, and definitely when there's whiteout conditions. That's the most fun to drive in Michigan, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I mean, I've been told not to bring my winter jacket here, and all of a sudden it's almost in the negatives here. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, it's
hey, the
kind of been so. Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, we had a little bit of snow come down here. I do want to give a shout out to at least Marquette. They took care of the roads super well, even though it was snowing for 6 months. But yeah, I think almost a better job than here. But my Ando was arguing, he was defending his home state about like not being prepared for snow because
I completely agree with Kristof here. I shout out to UP. They manage their snow well here.
yeah,
It's not very good. The roads are still icy. Can't even get out of the house.
yeah,
grab
I'm here in the Midwest. I'm still here. I'm here in the Midwest, and quite literally, our roads were like ice skating rinks. So I almost grabbed, because I have 3 pairs of skates at home, and I almost grabbed one of them and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna ice skate to work. I'll make it there quicker than my car will. So,
Definitely.
oh yeah. But so obviously, looking forward into your guys' careers. What are your individual and team goals for the rest of this season? And I know with Lindenwood being an independent school on the men's side, you guys sort of have to have the at-large bid to make it to the NCAA tournament. But what do you also hope to accomplish by the end of the year?
Well, I think it's important. We have Simon Fraser this weekend. And then we have 6 games left for the NCAA teams. So I think it's important to win as many games as we can. That's the goal for our team. That's what we established as a group. And for me personally, I think I would like to finish the year strongly, keep playing my game, and hopefully sign a pro contract by the end of it.
Yeah, we talked a lot as a team about what our motivation is, what our goal is for the year, and we kind of came up with the statement that we're playing for our respect and to establish ourselves and for future players to come here. We want to establish this team as a real competitor. We've been doing a good job as staying engaged for every single game and preparing like it's our championship games. Obviously, we don't have playoffs, so treating every game like a playoff game helps mentally a lot for sure. And individually, just want to finish the season strong. Like I already said, focus on it game by game and hopefully sign a pro contract.
And obviously, you guys were just talking about signing the pro contract. When you guys are done at Lindenwood, what are sort of your long-term hockey aspirations beyond just being the pro player in the future? Do you guys have, sort of plans to play professionally also in Europe and go back and play in the professional leagues there in Europe? And then, Kristof, I will add this. When I was talking with the sports director, Kovac Attila, he did say that his one goal is that by the time he retires, there will be one Hungarian NHL player drafted or signed. So
Yeah, obviously, playing in the NHL is the dream, and that's the ultimate goal. So I'd be lying if I didn't say that's not the ultimate goal. But yeah, sticking around in the U.S. for as long as possible in the hockey world, and then yeah, who knows where I'll end up later down the path of my career. I wouldn't mind playing in different countries and maybe even retiring back home. For sure, would be a cool way to end the story.
Yeah, I would agree with Kristof. I think for me as well, I'd like to stick around the United States as much as I can, play pro hockey here, and make my dream come true, play in the NHL. But again, I will be open to play in Europe at some point in my career. I just don't think it's the time yet.
and since you guys are sort of nearing the end of your college careers here in the United States, um, if you could give any advice to young hockey players back in Belarus or in Hungary who sort of have a dream of making it to college hockey in the U.S., what would you
I think I would say don't waste your time and listen more, speak less, and put the work in. Instead of worrying about what's going on outside, all that outside noise, just worry about yourself, do the work, and good things happen. I think when you give 100% every day, good things will happen to you.
Yes, sir. Show up every day. Be a good teammate. Uplift others around you, and really just dial in. Just drain out the distractions and focus on your craft and try to be the best player and person you can be every single day.
And then we're going to lighten up here just a little bit with some really fun questions. What's one fun or surprising fact about Belarus or Hungary that most people don't know?
I think about Belarus, I think that's pretty easy. We're we're the biggest potato eaters per capita.
I don't know if I have something like that, but we're really famous for soups, and our goulash is world class. So I guess I'll go with the goulash. This guy.
Obviously, you guys are teammates and you guys are from two different countries. Do you guys ever compete on who has the better food or traditions? And do you have a favorite dish from home that you miss while you're in the United States?
We haven't yet. But we can go toe to toe, Art. We can go toe
I
to
think we could.
we can go toe to toe.
Yeah. You should have a cookout.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe not us. I don't know. We're not that great cookers. Yeah, sometimes I miss, like, obviously grandma's cooking. And mom cooks a lot too. But yeah, I don't even know how would you call them in English. A lot of classic meat potato combinations for us too.
Yeah,
Vadash.
pretty similar. Yeah. I think for me, there's two dishes that I miss a lot. I try to make it for myself when I have some free time. It's draniki. It's like potato pancakes. Usually you stuff them with meat or you just leave them as a potato pancakes. They're really good. We put sour cream in everything, so we'll put sour cream on them too. And the other one is soup. It's called borscht. Kind of a little bit of part of my last name, so I was always big on it. And my mom cooked it perfectly, and I miss it.
One or two meals that I miss from living back in Hungary. They're both something my grandma's been like harping on me to cook for the last few weeks, and I've actually learned one already. Still learning to cook the other one, but it would be turosh testa and vadash. Those are the sort of two that I've been trying to learn how to cook.
Which ones you cook?
I got turosh testa finally down, but like it's sort of weird because like I'll cook the pasta and then the pasta just like I'll put it into like a container and it just ends up being like very very hard the next day.
Mm.
But thankfully, like normally I put cottage cheese with sour cream on it, and then obviously Arthi the potatoes with sour cream on that. That sounds really really good. I'll tell you that. That sounds really really good. Yeah,
It
the
is
Tudor
good.
Chase is the first one that I've gotten to work on, and then been trying to impress a girl from Sweden, and
There you
I
go.
was
There we go. Now we're talking.
and I started cooking Swedish meatballs. I'm still trying to learn how to perfect them, but
I have a Swedish roommate here. If you would like me to ask him for a
Big
couple
chef.
recipes, big chef. Yeah, I can send you some.
I've been trying to learn how to like really impress her. Like I've finally got a year long of learning Swedish, so now my mind's thinking like anytime I'm thinking, I'm talking, I'm like, okay, let me talk it. Let me think this through Swedish. Let me think this through Hungarian. Let me think this through English. And sometimes it's so weird because when I first moved back to the U.S. in 2012, whenever I was in high school, whenever one of my coaches said in PE was like saying something to me in English, I always thought they were saying something in Hungarian. Could never like I couldn't switch it off. And then of course, I was talking with a Hungarian girl when I went to a game. I went to Ohio State, watched Minnesota play, and the first thing, of course, I don't use my Hungarian nearly as much, but it definitely helped. And I talked to her, and she's like, "Well, you need to practice." And I was like, I'll be practicing here in a few weeks." But then also, I do have this question: do you guys have any superstitions, or even sort of rituals that you have to go through every single game in order for everything to go right for you guys?
I just have my own. I just try to stick to a routine. I've been doing the same routine before games. kind of everything in the same order, where it's like taping my stick, then getting some water and stuff like that. Just simple stuff, nothing crazy. And with equipment, I think I like to put my left side on first. I'll go like left knee pad, and right knee pad, and pants, and left skate, right skate, left elbows, right elbow, so kind of like that.
Yeah, same for me. Maybe younger, I called them superstitions, but it just became part of a routine. So it's just an automatic thing. Like the left side, I do the same thing. Just becomes a way to prepare for the game. It's a good way to stay consistent and get into the right mindset before a game, for sure.
And then the last fun question I'm going to ask is, if you could combine two players from your country's hockey style to create the perfect player, what would that player look like on the ice?
I can go.
You go. I
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to think
yeah.
about that one.
For the brains, I'll go Harry Janos. He still plays. He's played in the SHL and the Liga too in his younger days, and yeah, he's just got one of the best hockey minds, like IQs I've ever seen. So definitely that. And then for like body and size and everything, one of my favorite players to watch growing up, and why I choose number 21 as well. And he actually gave me the number 21 as he retired to wear, as I asked him, as a Borshyov. So that's just a guy I grew up loving to watch, and being able to play with him too for 1 year before he retired was unreal. So those two for sure.
Nice. I gotta go Ruslan Saleh. His leadership and his physicality. Then I'll probably go with the brain and stick will be Alexei Protas, and he plays for Washington Capitals right now. My home buddy, my best friend. We grew up together playing for the same team. So huge shout out to him. Scored 20 goals in the NHL this year, helping Ovi to accomplish
Yeah.
and B Gretzky record. So I hope he gets an assist on that last goal. That'll be huge. And for skating, I'll go with Mikhail Grabovski, and hands the brothers Kostitsins. So keep it that way.
Kristof, there was one player I could think of. I can't remember who his teammate was, but I know he was there when I was in Hungary. Ochkai Gabor. I loved his playing style.
Yeah.
He had something in him.
Yeah.
It's
He
just
was
sad
really,
what happened.
really special. And I was way too young to remember, I think. But yeah, I just heard like all the stories about how special he was and how far he could have gone. It's just so tragic. His early premature death was super sad in our hockey world back in Hungary. So we always have the jersey hanging up everywhere. But yeah, he was a special player for sure.
And then Artie and Kristof, I do have this question. Sort of the very last question I do have for you guys. Obviously you guys have left a very big legacy in the universities that you guys have already played at Lake State and at Northern Michigan. What is sort of the legacy you hope to leave at Lindenwood when you do graduate and leave the hockey program there?
I think Kristof touched on that. It's building for the future, right? We hope that the freshmen that we had in this year, that we made a positive impact, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, the juniors that will need to step up next year to be the leaders of the next team. And it's all in the culture of the team. And I hope that we kind of installed the good culture that is going to keep going and keep growing. We have an analogy in the locker room that we plant a seed and the seed starts growing. So hopefully in a couple of years it will be a big tree.
Yeah, I love that. Just want to leave the jersey in a better place, right? It's a famous quote too. Just showing up every day and kind of leading by example. I already touched on it's all about the culture, right? So culture beats systems every time.
Artie and Kristof, thank you both so much for taking the time to join me today on the Sports World with Patrick today. It's been amazing to hear your guys' stories, learn about your journeys from Belarus and Hungary to Lindenwood, and to get a glimpse into what it's like being an international athlete in the world. of the NCAA hockey. Obviously, for all our listeners out there, make sure you're following along with Artie and Kristof as they continue to make their mark on the ice this season. Lindenwood's hockey team is definitely one to watch. Thank you both. And to all our listeners, we appreciate you tuning in. Be sure to catch the next episode of Sports with Patrick. Until then, goodbye.